BTS leader RM is often called by the fans Moonchild after his song with the same name. But this is not at all a coincidence. If you look into his birth chart, the unique map of the planets when he was born, you see something very special. His chart tells the story of someone deeply emotional, highly intelligent, and quietly strong. It tells the story of a moonchild. Hello stars, welcome back to my channel where I analyze the birth chart of your favorite celebrities. If you're new here, my name is Beatrice, I'm a professional astrologer, and in this video I'm taking a closer look at the natal horoscope of BTS leader Kim Namjoon. This is just the beginning of a series about RM. The second video will be a more detailed analysis of his personality and career. And the third one will be about RM's relationships and future spouse. If you don't want to miss these videos, subscribe to my channel and turn the notifications on. And if you want to support me and help me make more of these videos, you can buy me a coffee. Just check the link in the description. I'm very excited to analyze Namjoon's chart. As an ARMY pointed out in a comment, he is the only BTS member whose exact birth time is known without any doubt. While Jungkook and Jimin have mentioned their birth time, we don't know with 100% certainty if it's correct and if it's AM or PM. In Namjoon's case, we know the exact birth time because he posted the hospital ID bracelet from when he was born. Baby RM came into this world on the 12th of September 1994 in Seoul, South Korea at 13:28 local time, so at 1:28 p.m. His birth time was the last missing piece of the puzzle. As you will see in this video, it explains why RM is a moonchild. But let's start with his sun. In astrology, the sun is the core of who we are. It shows what gives us life, where we shine. Namjoon's sun is in Virgo, the sign of the thinker, the helper, the one who notices everything. Virgo energy is practical, detailed, and always trying to improve things. People with this sun sign often feel most alive when they are being useful, when they are organizing chaos, and when they are making something better, whether it's a song, a team, or even the world around them. But there's something extra important here. Namjoon's sun is joined closely by Chiron. In astrology, Chiron is known as the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that shows a place where we've been hurt, but also where we can help others heal. When the Sun and Chiron are together in someone's chart, it means that their identity is deeply connected to both pain and healing. People with a Sun-Chiron conjunction often have a wound. It can be a physical one, but most of the time it's an emotional wound. Namjoon likely carries an inner wound around being good enough. Virgo already has high standards and strives for perfection, and with Chiron nearby, RM might have grown up feeling like he had to prove his worth, fix things, or carry more than he should. But there's also a beautiful side. This same energy gives him the power to be a voice for others, to write lyrics that say what people feel but can't express, and to offer calm in a noisy world. His Sun and Chiron are placed in the 9th house, the part of the chart connected to philosophy, wisdom, truth, and higher learning. This shows a lifelong need to explore big ideas, other cultures, and different ways of thinking. He's not just a Virgo who wants to organize things. He's a Virgo who wants to understand the world, question everything, and then share what he has learned. As we grow older, we have less of the characteristic of our sun sign and start behaving more like the sign at our ascendant, also called rising sign. This sign shows how others see us and how we present ourselves to the world. Namjoon's ascendant is in Sagittarius, a fire sign known for its love of freedom, honesty, and deep curiosity. It's also the most optimistic sign of all. Sagittarius people are travelers of both the body and the mind. They want to learn, explore, and understand the truth behind everything. With Sagittarius rising, Namjoon is seen as someone open, philosophical, and maybe even a little restless. There's a spark of wonder in him, a need to move and grow. Now comes the beautiful part that explains why RM is a moonchild. The fans called him that even though in astrology the moon is associated with the zodiac sign Cancer. Namjoon is a Virgo, so if we forget a bit about his song Moonchild, why would we even call him that? Well, here comes that missing puzzle piece that I mentioned earlier. Knowing his birth time and calculating his ascendant, we discover that his moon sits right next to his ascendant. Knowing RM through interviews and videos, but also after analyzing his birth chart, I doubt that this is just a coincidence. In my opinion, he knows that his moon is placed there, or at least he feels it strongly, which inspired him to choose that title. The moon shows our emotional landscape. It's the planet of emotions, deepest needs, memory, and inner life. It's our inner child, our comfort zone, our instincts. When the moon is in Sagittarius, emotions are full of curiosity and hunger for meaning. This kind of mood feels most at peace when learning something new or connecting to nature, art, or philosophy. When the moon is very close to the ascendant, it becomes even more important. It's like wearing your heart on your sleeve, even if you try not to. People may feel RM's emotions even if he doesn't say a word. He has a strong sense of empathy or feels deeply connected to the mood in the room. This placement also adds softness to his public image. He has a strong personality and acts professionally, but there's still a quiet vulnerability that people can see. And with the moon and ascendant both in Sagittarius, there's also a beautiful contradiction. Someone who's emotional and intuitive, but also deeply logical and thoughtful. RM is someone who feels everything, but is always trying to make sense of it. That's the core of a Moonchild, not just soft and dreamy, but strong, wise, and quietly glowing. Even more, his chart is full of water energy, the element connected to emotions, creativity, and depth. Cancer, which I said is associated with the moon, is a water sign. And water is the predominant element in Namjoon's chart, so one reason more to call him a moonchild. He feels the world deeply, even if he doesn't always show it. He's the kind of person who might write a whole universe into a few lines of lyrics. I don't know about you, but knowing all of this, the following lyrics somehow hit me differently. Moonchild, you shine. When moon rise, it's your time. RM's moon is in his rising sign, so these lyrics are, as I feel them, not just about the moon rising or about a generic moonchild, but about Namjoon himself rising. When I first found out Namjoon's birth time, there were two things that I wanted to see immediately. If his chart shows a natural born leader, and if his high IQ is reflected in his chart. I will talk about him being a leader in my next video. As for his intelligence, at first I didn't notice anything that would blow me away, at least not the typical signs of a high IQ. But then I took a closer look and discovered something even more exciting. Namjoon's birth chart includes one of the rarest and most powerful patterns in astrology, the Star of David, also called the Grand Hexagon. This special shape is made when two grand trines lock into each other, creating a six-pointed star. It's extremely rare to have this in a chart and even rarer for someone to live out its full potential. In astrology, trines are soft flowing lines between planets. They represent talents and natural gifts. A grand trine, a triangle formed by three planets in the same element, shows a smooth flow of energy within a person. When you have two of these grand trines intersecting in a balanced way, you get a Star of David. You have six planets or points all working together in harmony, covering different areas of life but with one shared rhythm. In Namjoon's case, this star-shaped pattern includes many pieces, and I will talk about all of them. The Sun and Chiron in Virgo in the ninth house, the North Node in Scorpio in the 11th house, Neptune in Capricorn in the second house, the part of Fortune in Pisces in the third house, Lilith in Taurus in the fifth house, and Mars and asteroid Fortuna in Cancer in the seventh house. I know that's a bit overwhelming, but each piece plays a role. The Sun and Chiron show his core identity as a healer, thinker, and someone who grows through pain and shares wisdom. The North Node points to his life mission, building deep emotional bonds with communities and inspiring change through collective work. Neptune adds the dreamer's touch, imagination, creativity, and a spiritual connection to beauty and meaning. The part of Fortune is a point of joy, ease, and natural success. In Pisces, it adds intuition, poetic thinking, and deep emotional insight. Lilith, a powerful feminine energy, adds rebellion and raw emotional truth to his creative voice. And Mars and Fortuna in the seventh house bring energy, action, and some of his best luck when working in partnerships, like BTS. But what does all of this mean in real life? The Star of David is more than just a beautiful shape. It shows a person with a rare mix of strength, talent, balance, and inner wisdom. Namjoon is someone who can lead with care, who is intelligent in both emotional and logical ways, and who has a deep sense of purpose. His chart shows someone who could easily handle high-level responsibilities. This is not just someone who writes lyrics. This is someone who could run a company, teach at a university, or build a peaceful community from scratch. RM has management skills, intuition, creativity, and compassion all built in. And the most amazing thing, he doesn't need other people to make him feel complete. As I said earlier, he has an emotional wound because of Chiron conjunct his sun. He maybe felt or feels even now that he isn't good enough. But at the same time, he has the power to heal himself and to recognize that he doesn't need other people or validation. He may love being around others, he may enjoy deep friendships and relationships, but his soul is already whole. He carries his own emotional and spiritual center. That's rare. Some astrologers believe that people with this rare pattern are protected in all they do. Even though life may bring challenges, their inner core stays steady and true no matter how much they change on the outside. This pattern also brings rare opportunities and a special ability to connect deeply with others, emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. This makes sense for someone like Namjoon, who can reach millions of fans while still making each person feel seen. He has the kind of voice, both musical and personal, that speaks to the heart. But there's a challenge too. Having this much talent and vision can lead to too many interests, too many paths, and too much energy flowing in different directions. The Star of David is a bit like the spokes of a bicycle wheel, but without a rim to hold them together. That can make the ride of life feel bumpy or chaotic at times. It's like constantly stepping from one idea or goal to another, always planning the next move but forgetting the last one. Sometimes it may even look like RM is absent-minded or like he forgets old connections along the way. That's not because he doesn't care. It's because his mind is working in a different rhythm, always tuned into what's next. However, even this challenging aspect is balanced out by another important placement in Namjoon's chart, Saturn in the third house. Saturn, the planet of structure, discipline, and long-term thinking, brings focus and grounding to the way he communicates, learns, and processes information. While the Star of David can create a flood of ideas and opportunities, Saturn acts like an anchor, helping him stay committed, organized, and clear in his thoughts. This gives him the ability to turn complexity into clarity and ideas into action. We'll explore Saturn's influence more deeply in the next video, but for now just know this. It's one of the reasons RM can carry so many dreams and still walk a steady path. And there's something else. People with this kind of pattern in their chart often demand the highest quality in everything they do. They don't settle. They think in big, complex ways. They want things to make sense not just in the material world, but on a deeper, even spiritual level. They follow a higher standard. That's probably why Namjoon often talks about art, books, nature, and meaning. He's not chasing fame. He's chasing truth. Even more, the 6 points of the star fall into 6 different zodiac signs, each representing a key theme in Namjoon's life. Healing, Virgo; emotional depth, Scorpio; dreams, Pisces; beauty and creativity, Taurus; action and protection, Cancer; and imagination with discipline, Capricorn. These signs cover different parts of his personality, but they all feed into the same larger vision. The result? A person who is both a quiet poet and a powerful builder. A man who can dream like an artist and lead like a CEO. Someone who sees the world not in black and white, but in deep colors, emotions, and ideas that many others might miss. To sum it up, the Star of David in Namjoon's chart is not just a rare configuration. It's a sign of wholeness, of someone born to express deep truths through art, thought, leadership, and emotion. He's not just talented, he's multidimensional. He's not just lucky and hardworking, he's aligned with something bigger. And when someone like that calls himself a moonchild, you believe him, because you can feel the quiet strength of the stars working behind the scenes. But not everything in his chart is peaceful. Namjoon also has a T-square, a pattern that creates tension and challenge, but also a huge drive to grow and evolve. In his case, the T-square connects his Sun-Chiron conjunction in Virgo in the ninth house with the part of fortune in Pisces in the third house and his moon and ascendant in Sagittarius. The Sun and Chiron in the ninth house want to explore ideas, teach, and understand life's meaning. But they are in opposition to the part of fortune which represents ease and joy in the third house, the house of communication and learning. This opposition might mean that Namjoon sometimes feels like what he wants to express and teach doesn't always match the way he learned to speak or think as a child. Maybe he had to unlearn old habits or find new ways to share his ideas. Both of these sides, his Sun-Chiron conjunction and the part of fortune, are forming tensed angles with the moon and the ascendant. That creates pressure. The moon wants to feel safe and true to itself, while the sun wants to teach and shine, but the path isn't always clear. This T-square could feel like a constant pull in three directions: RM's inner world, his outer image, and his need to communicate something deeper. But this is also what pushes him to grow. It's what gives him the emotional strength to write, to lead, to question. T-squares are not easy, but they are powerful. They make people move, evolve, and become something greater than they imagined. Namjoon doesn't just sit with pain, he transforms it. Namjoon's chart shows a very rare balance between intelligence and emotional depth. I was talking earlier about his high IQ. Besides the gifts that he got from the Star of David, Namjoon's moon and ascendant in Sagittarius give him what we might call philosopher energy. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of higher wisdom and big thinking. People with this placement often ask deep questions from a young age about life, the universe, and their place in it. But he's not just smart in a bookish way. His moon makes him emotionally intelligent too. He understands people. He feels the world. This is what we call EQ, emotional intelligence. And with the Star of David creating a strong bond between water and earth in his chart, he has the ability to blend logic, creativity, and empathy. Let's also take a look at the third house, the area of the chart connected to learning, speaking, and thinking. The beginning of this house sits exactly between Aquarius and Pisces. Aquarius brings new ideas, innovation, and a futuristic mind. Pisces brings softness, imagination, and intuition. This combination shows a person who can think both like a scientist and a poet. So when he writes lyrics, gives interviews, or just thinks about life, Namjoon is not simply using his brain, he's also using his heart and his soul. He was born to think deeply, speak wisely, and feel everything. Namjoon is not a Cancer by sun sign, but he carries the spirit of the moon in everything he does. His moon is right at the front of his birth chart, shining softly but strongly. His life is a mix of emotion, depth, learning, and healing. The stars tell the story of someone who feels deeply and chooses to grow instead of hide. A moonchild isn't just someone who cries under the stars, it's someone who learns how to shine through the night. And that's what Namjoon is, a poet, a leader, a healer, a moonchild in every sense. What I told you in this video is just what I noticed at the first glance in Namjoon's birth chart. In the next video, we will dive even deeper and talk about his personality and career. In the third video about RM, I will talk about his relationships and future spouse. And after that, I will of course publish videos about the other BTS members. Subscribe to my channel and turn the notifications on if you don't want to miss these videos. Until the next time, shine bright like the stars.